Tim, I'm going to kick this one off.
Good.
We had an episode a little while back, episode 515.
Okay.
Entropy-aware governance.
Yes.
Where we talked about weird things like the weight rating of a bridge and how you could use that as an analogy within cybersecurity, which is not all MFA are created equal, but by calling them good, bad, not so good, what does that mean? Why not have a weight rating on it and use entropy as a way of actually putting the weight-bearing limit on MFA? And I got a really good comment from one of our listeners and guests, Bruno Couillard.
Oh, okay.
I'll give him the credit for this episode.
Hi, Bruno.
Hey, Bruno. Quality of entropy was something that he claimed I missed in that episode. And I totally agree. Because I was really talking more simplistically about amounts of entropy. And I think you really do have to say that that min entropy is the thing, and min entropy gets down to the concept of the quality of the entropy.
Quality of entropy, by which you mean to say, if it's a 1 or a 0, that's less quality than if it's a 1 through 16?
No, it's about the patterning in the ones and zeros.
Okay.
So in other words, you could have gobs and gobs and gobs.
So I've got entropy, but it's not equally likely to be every value.
There is a quality level that you must keep in mind anytime you're talking about a source of entropy. Mm-hmm. So in other words, you and I had this, we talked about just today, QRNG being like absolutely unassailably like random, man.
Right.
Random.
Yeah.
And so therefore, we do have today in things like HSMs, not surprising, a guy like Bruno Couillard, we're talking about quality of entropy because his quality of entropy in his HSMs is as good as it gets.
Right.
And so therefore, he's very sensitive to talk about quality of entropy because you can have all sorts of pseudo random number generators where no, it's not the same quality. It's still randomish.
Right. And that's why I tend to avoid the word random and I discuss the word predictable. Right?
Yeah.
Because if it's sufficiently unpredictable, it does what you need. Even if it isn't truly random.
Exactly, Tim. So I think one of the best analogies, and without, let's keep this episode light.
Yeah.
This is really a question about how loaded is your coin flip.
Yeah. So a few things occur to me. Like one of them is if you ask a human to write, give me what looks like a long number of random digits, it's not at all random because they're strongly biased against repetition. So you'll never see the same digit 2 times in a row. If I say, give me 20 random digits and a person writes it down, you will never see the same digit 2 times in a row. If I get a truly random set of 20 digits, you will, right? So that's bias. That's unrandomness. And this kind of thing can occur in pseudo-random systems, absolutely. I'm also thinking about some research I saw probably about 5 years ago at this point, and I'm not going to remember all the details, but they grabbed RSA keys off of various sources and they basically found clusters of numbers. And they attributed it back to the fact that when you're originally determining the primes to calculate the keys, that some primes are easier to determine than others. And so if you're trying to break those keys, you could then reverse engineer that and focus on the qualities of the numbers that are easier to determine because you're more likely to get a hit on those numbers. Right?
Absolutely, Tim. You said, you gave your example, I'll give you another one. Just to make it concrete that I totally agree with Bruno. Okay? It's this. I was actually going to do this for this episode. I didn't have the time. I was going to bring in a Geiger counter.
Okay. Maybe we'll do it in the future.
Hey, Cloudflare's got their lava lamps.
Sure.
Root Causes podcast should have our own.
Are the root causes
The root causes entropy source.
I love it.
And it could be a Geiger counter.
Sure.
And I was going to bring one in. And I was merely, let's do this mentally. Tim, Geiger counter is measuring,
Just
energetic
radioactive
particles
that
are floating by.
Yep.
And, okay, Tim, you just heard a tick.
Mm-hmm.
How many milliseconds till the next tick? You couldn't guess.
Right.
Is the answer.
Yeah.
However, if you looked at my Geiger counter setup, how were the ticks being reported? Oh, there might be some Arduino circuitry that I was using in order to visualize the ticks.
Mm-hmm.
And that Arduino or, some Raspberry Pi system, God knows what I was going to use. My point to you was to say, I bet you
Right.
Tim Callan plus a smart AI
Right.
can come up with the quality problems. Not in the physics of the Geiger counter.
Mm-hmm.
The ticks
But
are random.
in the reporting, there might be rounding algorithms that are biased.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The latencies that are caused by just how it gets to your, whatever is doing the recording of it. There's all kinds of biases that are being introduced that are going to have patterns. The biases have patterns. Therefore, it causes a lack of quality.
Right. Which, now, again, we go back to what I was saying before. You do need to ask yourself the question. It doesn't need to be perfectly unpredictable to serve our needs. It needs to be sufficiently unpredictable to serve our needs.
You don't need a quantum random number generator.
Right.
Bruno's HSM
Right.
random number generator is sufficient. However, you probably in the generation of a cert don't want to be using Linux pseudo random number generation.
Yeah. Right. Right.
However,
Especially if it's a Debian system.
We know the bugs. That's a reference to a problem that Debian had. So the point being, even that flawed Debian Linux pseudo random number generator, if you were using it to merely add in quirks, it's perfectly sufficient.
Right.
But it's not for security.
Right.
And that's the purpose.
Absolutely. Right. And different use cases, right? If you wanted, an AI in a video game to not always turn left, that's great for that. Solves it just fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly correct. If you're simulating a casino,
Right.
you need randomness.
Right.
And maybe a pseudo random number generator would be perfect if you just have human contestants who cannot possibly compute the biases in the randomness. Mm-hmm. Point made. So Bruno and all people who caught my mistake on the entropy aware governance episode 515, I want to add in right now in postscript. Yes, it's not just amount of entropy.
Sure.
It's also the quality of the entropy.
Okay. It's fair.
There you go.
There you go.